So, I don't even know what to say. I got a special treat for you today. Welcome to Traveling Matt, where if you've not been in before, hi, how you doing? Welcome. And if you have, welcome back. And follow, like, share, and subscribe. And if you, as I said, if you haven't been there before, I go around to places of interest to me and to others, that so I can document it. So today I'm doing a exclusive. Hold tight. When I arrived, I was rushing, so here I arrived at the main reception. As you go through, I was met by Jeremy, who showed me the main hall where George would have sat. George would have performed on his stage with Andrew when they were known as the Executive. So in George's days, these chairs weren't there, it was just flat. So George would recognise the thing in front of us. So apart from the bits and pieces like the chairs and the banner stuff there, he'd recognise the tree and that main building in front of us. We're about to point out that's his main common room. It leads into the main common room. That's the main common building for the sixth form building. It's called basically, and it's good to be in this environment to know that George and Andrew hang out here and we're dreaming of the future. And we're about to show you the plaque dedicated to George. George would have been happy to see the plaque on the wall, especially with the music building wall, to show where he went and attended with Andrew, knowing that they had dreams and hopes for the future. It was really inspiring. This is one of the things I wanted to see when I came to Bushmead, was to see this plaque. Now, this is the music room. George would have known this room. He would have been working in here, and also this is a building where it holds lots of memories for George. As you can see on the wall, they're showing not just George and Andrew, but other inspired students who are still there or left that have gone on to do great things, and in order to inspire the next generation. So I believe this room we're about to go into is where George probably would have held his music lessons, as in teaching about music. This is really another big part of George's upbringing. Now, this is the drama room. George would have known this room very well because they was documenting the fact that George loved drama. And I would have think if he didn't become a pop star, would he have been an actor or something? But anyway, this is the drama room where he would have taken drama. And these two ladies, one was from Italy, one's from England. They came specifically to learn and see where George was raised and lived. Here's some live footage. It's the other half of the drama. This is all signed. Apartments in Georgia. They're called coming in. This is the Georgia.
Adesso quella posti dei grandi, un po' si chiama, perché sicuramente questa come fare già c'era.
The left hand side.
This sixth form set for George. Would have attended being here.
So apparently Andrew Ridgely used to live on Hilton Avenue. So we have like a city that to us is really important.
There's George used to take these and he used to register. So walking in his footsteps literally. Wow.
But this literally is a room where they met for the first time.
It is amazing to think that George and Andrew would have sat along that row. Obviously, that whiteboard wasn't there. It would have been a blackboard in them days. Knowing I grew up roughly about the same time as him. But knowing this room is where that little boy called George, and well, his real name wasn't George, obviously it's a Greek name, would have met Andrew in this room. He would have sat probably along this row. And so we met Andrew Wrigley. And with that, we depart the room and head downstairs. You see the old woman there. So what a day! I'm just back from filming at Bushy Mead, and it was an awesome day. It was about an hour long. Went to, as you saw, where George met in his form room. That room hasn't changed. That room, more or less, where he would have sat. Remember, I put a picture up now what George probably would have looked like at that age, at that time. And also, that's where he met Andrew when he first come to the school. Apparently, the school already started, the year really started, and then George came much later because he had to find, he I think moved to the local area, then he had to find a school, and this was the only school he could find. So this is the school he was at, and this would meet Andrew, and then so forth, and then Wham was created. But also you see the stage where they would have performed on in, not as Wham, but when they were doing the school stuff, when he was doing school performances. He also, I have to add, Jules did a lot of drama. So he was into drama. So you saw the drama room where he would have performed and where he would have practiced and so on. And then you saw the plaque. I have to say, Jeremy was amazing. He was really, the head teacher was good, showing us around. He very knowledgeable, and you get the question right from people, and I asked him this, 2 questions I've asked him really, was, did you know George Michael? Now, George was here, probably 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, in JE's probably. The guy's not old enough to be there. The only one he said that knew George became a governor, but he was head of science, I believe, or a science teacher, but he's in one of the videos. So we can find a video, it's on Netflix, about George. I'll put the clip up for you, if I can find it. The other thing is, I said about LGBTQ, obviously George being gay. Is that inclusive, and is it inclusive at the school? Especially disabilities and so on. Not that LGBTQ is a disability. Just got a little fly walking over my camera. Anyway, so he said yes, and you saw there's a plaque thing I showed you, on a wall, which they promote it a lot and support kids, excuse me, a lot at the school. The one thing I want to say, which I said to Jeremy, was when I first arrived. You know, let me go back a bit. When we were walking around Germany, you saw the kids, or the kids and the teachers, but mainly the children, the sixth formers, the younger kids, would always obviously pay respects, right? You would think, oh, your head teacher's there, of course they're going to be that way. But let me just explain something. When I came here, when I first arrived, the head teacher wasn't there. In fact, I arrived late. Traffic, and go figure. Anyway, as I arrived, you had to get through some security gates, so you saw me walking through the gates. I never filmed it, obviously, because they're children. But one of the kids pressed the button for me and said, oh, do you want to come in? And then, he's only young, must have been about 11. And he was with somebody else. And I was like, nice, and he goes, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm looking for reception. And he said, oh, it's over there. And I was like, that is something you can't teach. That is something that's ingrained into you from school, from parents and so on. So I said that to Jeremy, I goes, you weren't around, but this is what took place. And I go, so it's not just that you being there, that these kids behaved themselves. They did it when you weren't around. So hats off to you. I have to say, this school is outstanding. I think George will be so proud of this school. I know Andrew is, but I know George would have been over the moon about how the school did. And he actually came back and said, this is my old school, and there's a picture of him over there. So, with that, I just saw a little private plane landing. So with that, I'm going to end this video. It's probably a short one, but I just wanted to conclude. This is a conclusion, I think. I don't know yet, I'll try to do a video about where he met Wham, Dress of Ram, i.e. the 2 girls. So that's a pub, not far from here. So I might do that over the weekend. And the other thing is where he done his first performances with Wham. It might be in there. I'll double check that. But as I'm going on, learning about George and George's life, and a lot of you don't know, I'm bi, and coming out, George George, researching George and learning about George, even way back when I first came out. George has always been my inspiration about me being who I want to be, yeah, and not being unapologetic about it, and living my best truth. And that's what I say. That's what Traveling Matt's about expressing yourself, doing what you want to do, not trying to stick to the norm. I'm just a man with a phone camera, you know, just going around filming what he sees and editing it as raw as it is. And I'm hoping that this is what it's about. It isn't about me having fancy cameras, me doing all these edits and these special effects. It is me, my car, the car, which is my car, my camera, and my phone camera, and me just learning about different things and taking one important aspect of this about my channel is you make the channel. Obviously you make the channel. Without this there is nothing, and there is no Traveling Matt. And I'm not going to go, you know, I'll say like, share, subscribe and pass it on, and leave the bell, put the bell, remember to click the bell so you get more updates of what I do. But on top of it, you know, if you can afford it, drop us a few pennies. I'm going to say the quote I got from Come to America: like the things that jingle, maybe enjoy the things that fold.
Donation. I thought it was a trap. Don't we just throw some money in there? Your ass, man, don't come on now.
And this does more of it, and yeah, more of what I can do. So with that, I'm going to conclude because I'm really hot. It's now 30 degrees and I'm sweating. Before I go, I got this from there, and you get a pack from the school. Yeah, about your visit, and it talks about George and other people that is attended school that are famous and not so famous, but I thought it was relevant. So with that, I'm going to conclude this. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I don't really care. Excuse me. Thank you for coming along, and I'll see you in my next video. Stay blessed.